Good afternoon everybody, welcome back to our thought for the day. All this week I've been doing object lessons that I've used over the years just for a bit of fun, a bit different, and hopefully a little bit of message as well, or maybe even something you can share. And so here we go today. I've covered many things this week, and of course there are other things I would have loved to have done, but they're just too gross. But I did promise you an explosive end to our session, our theme this week, and so today's one is all about anger, and using just a Ziploc bag, some baking powder and some vinegar. This object lesson is all about how anger isn't that great. So, step one, baking powder, a little bit of napkin. You tip a nice generous helping of baking powder in there, and then you fold that up like this, like so. Now if you're doing this live, you kind of keep this slightly out of sight. Now, keep this hidden away. And then step two is vinegar and a Ziploc bag. Now I've got to try and do this without dropping bits of it. This is the most complicated part of it. So let's open our bag up here and let's see where we get to. What's great about this one is that you can spend quite a lot of time explaining. Talking about anger, you can ask people, you know, I would normally sort of say what makes you angry, what things wind you up, that kind of thing, and you can get some good answers as you're filling up your bag filled with vinegar. Of course, you must always remember to take the little bit out of the top as well. Yeah, hang on, there we go. Let's throw it down there, and then you tip your vinegar in there like so. All the while trying not to drop it all over the front of the church, which is kind of tricky. Now, we all know that anger isn't great. We all know that to be angry and cross with things generally has a sort of negative effect on us. Physically, it has a negative effect. Anger raises your blood pressure, gets your heart pumping double the speed, and anger doesn't do very much for a person. The Bible is pretty clear about anger. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 6 says, in your anger do not sin. So the acknowledgement that things will make us cross, but being angry doesn't give us the right to sin, to turn anger into action, unrighteous action. There's righteous anger, of course, but we'll come on to that in a minute. And the Bible is very clear as well in the second part of that verse where it says, do not let the sun go down on an argument, and so give the devil a foothold. So the Bible teaches very clearly that anger in itself as an emotion isn't necessarily wrong, but when it becomes an action, that's when it becomes wrong, or wrong thinking. When it becomes something material, then anger becomes very, very dangerous. And then the Bible also teaches us very clearly as Christians that actually when we become angry, when we express our anger in an unrighteous way, then we give the devil an opportunity to take that and make something worse with it. And there's a lot of anger at the moment. A lot of people are very angry about lots of things, and in and of itself, the things we're angry at sometimes are okay. We can be angry at injustice, we can be angry at poverty, we can be angry at pain and death. But when that anger tips into an unrighteous expression of that emotion, then it becomes sinful, then it becomes something bad. And so this will illustrate what happens when we allow anger to take control. So before I do anything else, I'm going to move the camera for you. So this is the next part. Now I'm not going to lie to you, this is take two, because it didn't work the first two times. So here I have a much bigger bag with some vinegar in, and I've got my bicarbonate soda, so hopefully this works. So you put it in there like that, and then it all releases, hopefully, and then the cat arrives, and then you can see it begins to bubble up. Seriously, cat. And then you realise maybe you should try it here. The cat lays on the floor just to get on your nerves. It's supposed to pop. I give up. That's what's supposed to happen. It's supposed to pop. It expands, the bag goes bang, and everyone goes woo, and it's all very, very exciting at that point. So let me just end here, because actually, if you're doing an object lesson, they always go wrong. Like 1 in 5 goes wrong. which is exactly what's happened this week. This was going to be my big finale, but never mind, it's not going to work out. So let me end with this thought. Perseverance is probably a better illustration than this one. And actually, if you're going to do an object lesson, don't have a cat who's attacking the tripod, and never give up. And actually, a lot of what we have to say as Christians actually is often at odds with what the world has to say to us. And the Bible talks a lot about persevering and sticking at it and staying strong, going against the tide, and being people that stick to the truths of God even when everything suggests we should give up and go home and try again and fit in and that kind of thing. We live in a very strange world, don't we, where everything changes around us and people want us to go along with the crowd, with our culture, and so we stick out, we do the things God has asked us, even if we look ridiculous, even if we look like failures. And actually 1 Corinthians says that God loves to use what's foolish in the world to shame the wise, the worldly wise. The world's got its particular order, and so God loves to take out what the world thinks is ridiculous and actually use those people, those situations to teach his truths in the most wonderful way. And actually, if you're a Christian, often we look foolish, often we look like we believe crazy things, but actually we believe the truth. And if maybe you feel weak or you feel you've got nothing to offer God, actually, even if you feel like a failure, even if things have not gone well up to this point, use this object lesson as a lesson that God can use even you. And actually, it's a good end to this week, because actually, if you do communicate with people and use object lessons to try and make a good point, the best of us are able to take a failure and make a point out of that as well. So don't get angry, but do persevere even when things appear to go horribly wrong. Wouldn't this be a great time for this to pop? It's not gonna. God bless, and we will see you next week. Don't forget our Sunday morning service, 10:30 on YouTube and Facebook. Join us and let's worship God together. But God bless, have a fantastic weekend. God bless you.